Listen, before we talk about money, I need you to breathe with me for 10 seconds. Because the best investment advice for 2026 isn't about chasing returns. It's about surviving your own fear long enough to make a clear decision. Right now, the loudest risk in the market isn't inflation, AI, war, or volatility. It's panic dressed up as urgency. Here's the truth most people don't want to hear. The market will test your nervous system before it ever rewards your patience. You will feel stupid for staying calm. You will feel late. You will feel like everyone else knows something you don't. That discomfort, that's the price of entry. In 2026, uncertainty isn't a temporary phase. It's the environment. If you are waiting for clarity before you invest, you will wait forever. The winners won't be the bravest or the smartest. They'll be the ones who learned how to sit with ambiguity without abandoning their values. I want you to stop asking, what's the next hot thing, and start asking, what kind of investor do I become when things get hard? Because every bad decision you've ever made with money probably came from the same place. Fear of missing out, fear of being wrong, fear of standing alone. This year will reward grounded behavior, not dramatic moves. Slow thinking will beat fast reacting. Boring discipline will outperform emotional brilliance. If your strategy depends on perfect timing, it's not a strategy, it's a gamble. Before you invest a single dollar, invest in emotional literacy. Know what fear feels like in your body. Name it, don't let it drive. The market doesn't punish ignorance nearly as harshly as it punishes unexamined emotion. This is where real investing begins. Let me say this gently, but clearly, if your investment plan collapses the moment the market shakes, it was never a plan. It was hope wearing a spreadsheet. And 2026 will expose the difference fast. Here's what most people don't realize. Volatility isn't the enemy. Volatility is the invitation. It asks one brutal question. Do you trust your process, or do you trust your emotions? Because when prices swing, what's really moving is your sense of safety, your identity, your belief that you're doing the right thing. In 2026, the market will reward investors who stop confusing motion with progress. Doing something feels powerful. Holding steady feels unbearable. But the data is ruthless on this point. Most wealth is destroyed in moments of emotional decision-making, not bad analysis. You don't need to predict the future. You need to prepare for discomfort. That means building a strategy you can stick with on your worst day, not your best. If you can't explain your investments in plain language when you're scared, you're overcomplicated and overexposed, this is the year to respect cash, not as laziness, but as courage. Cash is patience. Cash is optionality. Cash gives you the ability to act when others are frozen. Being fully invested at all times isn't confidence, it's fragility and diversification. It's not about maximizing returns. It's about staying in the game long enough to let compounding do its quiet, miraculous work. The goal isn't to be right this quarter. The goal is to still be standing 10 years from now. In 2026, resilience beats brilliance, structure beats impulse, and the investors who win will be the ones who learned how to build systems that protect them from themselves. I need you to hear this without flinching. The biggest risk to your money in 2026 is not the market. It's the story you tell yourself when things don't go your way. The moment an investment dips, your brain rushes to meaning. I'm bad at this. I missed the signal. I should have known. That story is far more dangerous than any downturn. Markets don't move in straight lines because life doesn't. And yet we keep expecting certainty from a system built on human behavior. Messy, emotional, unpredictable humans. In 2026, narratives will move prices faster than fundamentals. Headlines will feel personal. Social media will amplify panic and package it as wisdom. This is your work separate signal from noise. Most opinions are not insights. They're anxiety looking for company. Just because a voice is loud doesn't mean it's right. Just because everyone agrees doesn't mean they're safe. You don't need to react to everything you hear. You need a filter strong enough to protect your focus. Ask yourself, does this information change my long-term thesis? Or does it just change how I feel today? Feelings are real, but they are not instructions. This year, You will be tempted to abandon what's steady for what's exciting. Don't confuse adrenaline with intelligence. Boring assets held with conviction will quietly outperform chaotic brilliance. Investing well in 2026 means choosing depth over drama. It means trusting evidence over ego. And it means refusing to let fear rewrite your plan in moments of stress. The market will always test your resolve before it rewards your patience. Let's talk about control, because this is where investors either grow up or give up. In 2026, you will not control the market. You will not control interest rates, elections, algorithms, or black swan headlines, but you will control your behavior. And that's where your power lies. Most people waste energy trying to predict what they cannot manage while ignoring what they can. They obsess over forecasts and neglect fundamentals. They chase certainty instead of building capacity. Real strength comes from knowing the difference. Here's the hard truth. If your piece depends on your portfolio being green every day, you are emotionally over-leveraged. You've tied your worth to performance, and that's a fragile way to live. Investing is not a referendum on your intelligence or your value as a human being. In 2026, the most successful investors will narrow their focus. They'll ask fewer questions like, what if everything collapses? And more questions like, am I positioned to endure? Endurance is underrated. It's quiet. It doesn't trend, but it wins. This is the year to simplify. Fewer bets you deeply understand will outperform scattered conviction. Complexity often hides insecurity. Clarity builds confidence. When the market tests you, and it will, remember this calm is not denial, patience is not passivity, discipline is not weakness. These are skills. And like all skills, they require practice under pressure. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to be faithful to your process when fear shows up uninvited. Let me tell you what no chart will ever show you. Your relationship with risk is emotional long before it's mathematical. In 2026, risk won't look dramatic. It will look ordinary. Slow erosion. Lingering doubt, long stretches where nothing seems to work the way it used to. And that's exactly when people abandon good strategies. Risk isn't just the possibility of loss. Risk is the feeling of standing alone in your decision while the crowd runs in the opposite direction. Risk is staying invested when your confidence is tired, when your patience is thin, when your certainty has evaporated. Most investors don't fail because they took too much risk. They fail because they took risk they didn't understand. If you can't explain why you own something without referencing hope, hype, or a YouTube prediction, you're not investing. You're outsourcing your courage. This year demands alignment. Your portfolio must match your temperament, not your fantasies. If you need liquidity to sleep at night, honor that. If volatility steals your focus from living your life, you're paying too high a psychological price. There is no prize for suffering silently through an investment strategy that doesn't fit who you are. Sustainable wealth is built by people who know their limits and respect them. In 2026, the bravest move may be adjusting, not quitting, rebalancing, not panicking, admitting this no longer serves me, and choosing stability over ego. Because the goal isn't to impress strangers with returns. The goal is to build a life where your money supports your values, not your anxiety. Here's the quiet truth about 2026 patience is about to become a competitive advantage. Not the kind that waits passively, but the kind that watches closely, thinks clearly, and acts deliberately, while others sprint from one opportunity to the next. Exhausted and reactive, patient investors will be positioning themselves calmly, intentionally, powerfully. This is not the year of overnight wins. It's the year of delayed gratification. Compounding won't shout for your attention. It will whisper. And most people will miss it because whispers don't trigger dopamine. You'll be tempted to measure success too often. Daily prices, weekly returns, constant comparison. But every time you over-monitor, you weaken your resolve. You turn long-term strategy into short-term stress. That's not awareness. That's self-sabotage. In 2026, less checking will lead to better outcomes. Distance creates perspective. Space restores judgment. You don't pull a plant out of the soil every day to see if it's growing. And yet that's how many people treat their investments. This is also the year to respect time horizons. Money you need soon should not be exposed to long-term risk. Money meant for the future should not be micromanaged in the present. Confusing these two creates panic where none is needed. Patience doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means responding instead of reacting. It means trusting that consistency applied over time will outperform brilliance applied occasionally. The market will reward those who understand this. Growth doesn't happen loudly, but it happens relentlessly. Let's talk about comparison, because in 2026, it will quietly drain more wealth than any crash. You will see other people's wins everywhere, screenshots of returns, bold claims, perfect timing stories with no mention of losses. And if you're not careful, you'll start questioning your own steady progress. Comparison hijacks wisdom. It convinces you that slow is wrong and flashy is smart. It whispers that you're behind, even when you're exactly where you need to be. And once that voice takes over, you start making moves that don't come from strategy, they come from shame. Here's the grounding truth: you are not investing in the same life as anyone else. Your timeline is different. Your responsibilities are different. Your tolerance for uncertainty is different. Trying to copy someone else's portfolio is like wearing someone else's prescription glasses. You won't see more clearly, you'll just get dizzy. In 2026, the most dangerous question you can ask is, why didn't I do what they did? The better question is what I'm doing still aligned with my goals? Alignment beats imitation every time. This year calls for quiet confidence, the kind that doesn't need validation, the kind that doesn't flinch when someone else gets lucky. Because luck is loud, but consistency is loyal. You don't need to win every year. You need to avoid losing yourself chasing someone else's definition of success. Stay rooted. Stay intentional. The compounding you can't see yet is already working. Now let's talk about the moment no one prepares you for, the waiting. In 2026, there will be long stretches where doing nothing feels irresponsible, where opportunity seems to pass you by, where the silence makes you doubt your own judgment. And this is where most investors break. Stillness is uncomfortable because it forces you to face yourself. No trades to hide behind, no headlines to react to, just you and your choices. But restraint is not weakness, it's maturity. Knowing when not to act is a skill forged through trust in your own process. This year will reward investors who understand that timing isn't about speed, it's about readiness. Not every dip is a gift. Not every rally is an invitation. Discernment matters more than enthusiasm. You don't need to be constantly involved to be effective. Overactivity is often fear pretending to be productivity. And the market is very good at punishing impatience disguised as confidence. In 2026, ask yourself before every move, am I acting from clarity or from discomfort? Discomfort will rush you. Clarity will slow you down. Some of your best decisions this year will be the ones no one sees. The trades you don't make, the risks you don't take, the money you keep ready instead of deploying prematurely. Waiting, when done intentionally, is not wasted time. It's preparation. And preparation is what separates investors who survive from those who endure and win. Let me bring this home to something deeper than numbers: identity. Because by 2026, investing will no longer just test your strategy, it will test who you believe you are. When markets challenge you, they don't just ask, what will you do? They ask, who are you? When certainty disappears, if your identity is built on being right, volatility will crush you. If it's built on being disciplined, you'll adapt. The strongest investors don't cling to predictions, they commit to principles. They allow their thinking to evolve without feeling like they've failed. This year will demand humility. You will be wrong sometimes. Everyone will. The danger isn't being wrong, it's being defensive, refusing to reassess. Protecting your ego instead of your capital. Growth requires the courage to say, what worked before may not work the same way now. In 2026, flexibility will outperform stubbornness. Curiosity will outperform certainty. Investors who can learn without panicking will quietly separate themselves from the crowd. This is also the year to define success beyond returns. Success is staying calm when others spiral. Success is sleeping at night. Success is having money serve your life, not dominate it. You are not your portfolio. You are the one making the decisions. And the more grounded your sense of self becomes, the less power the market has over your peace. When you invest from a centered place, fear loses its grip and clarity takes the lead. Finally, let's talk about legacy, not just wealth, but what you carry forward from this year and every investment decision you make. 2026 isn't just about returns. It's about how you show up while the world tests you. Because at the end of the day, money is a tool, but the person wielding it determines its impact. Here's the truth: the market will rise and fall, headlines will scream, algorithms will churn, and everyone around you will panic. But your long-term story is written in the quiet moments of discipline. It's written in the patience to hold, the courage to wait, the wisdom to rebalance, and the humility to learn from mistakes. Don't let fear steal your narrative. Don't let comparison rob your focus. Don't let impatience destroy what decades of careful planning could achieve. The best investors aren't the ones with the flashiest wins. They're the ones still standing, still growing, still aligned with their values when everyone else has burned out. In 2026, the greatest return on investment is not the number in your account. It's the resilience you build, the emotional intelligence you cultivate, the clarity you practice, the confidence you gain in your own judgment. That's the kind of wealth that compounds silently but powerfully year after year. So invest with courage, patience, and self-awareness. Protect yourself from your own impulses. Trust the process you've built. And remember, the market will always test you. But it cannot take from you the discipline, the wisdom, and the calm you bring to the journey when you align your actions with your values, your investments, and your life win together.